You're coming into the portion when FVR became president. Ano?
Yeah.
Let me, so I'll start off first with establishing your timeline with him. When did you first meet him? How did you get to meet him?
I have met President Ramos when he was just the defense secretary during the time of Cory. And we were together in the Baguio killer earthquake,
Oh, okay.
in the Mount Pinatubo disaster. So I remember that when the Baguio earthquake happened, I received a call from his office. He was then the Secretary of National Defense, asking me to join him um, to fly by helicopter to Baguio at 4 o'clock a.m.
Wow.
And he gave me instruction to coordinate with the Red Cross and bring blood. So we stayed together in Baguio, I think, for about 2 to 3 weeks.
Okay.
He was staying in the mansion. I was staying in the house of staff of the Department of Health. And so I think what I can say is that we met because of disasters, no, and calamities. He was always there.
Crisis time, ano?
Yeah,
It was
I remember he was a hands-on person. No? He was giving instructions from the field. We were there together making ocular inspections, talking to the media,
yeah.
and even reprimanding political leaders who wanted to do some grandstanding because of the calamity.
Okay. Yeah, tell me about those impressions, no? And it was actually a time of no? As you said, it was a time of crisis, very, very trying situations. Your impressions of the man, your impressions of.
My impression of FBR at that time was that he was not a commander-in-chief from the table, no, giving orders right and left. He was there in the battlefield. He was in the battlefront, if I may say. And he knew what was happening. And I think what I appreciate with him is that he's able to orchestrate and coordinate all agencies, NGOs, LGUs, notwithstanding the danger that he personally went, no, to the disaster area, stricken areas.
So he was no armchair general.
No, he was a soldier in the battlefront.
Was it something you thought na he liked, he liked roughing it up, getting himself in the front lines?
I think so because I remember in the several times I've been with him, we were talking with people, going to the places, giving orders right there and there, like a true soldier, like a true general.
Okay.
He was not giving marching orders. He was with the marching troop, if I may say.
And then after that, when was the next? Well, you said 1990, the earthquake, and then 91, I guess the Pinatubo eruption.
Yeah.
Yeah. You were also working
Well,
together then.
at that time, the Department of Health was struck with scandal, And one late afternoon, about 2 o'clock, I was taking my lunch because I was designated as the officer in charge of the Department of Health. I received a call from FBR and telling me, it was the Monday after Holy Week,
Oh, okay.
and he told me, Dr. Cheat, this is the president. So I almost fell off my chair, receiving a call from the president. Okay, what did I do wrong? So he said, I just came from a Holy Week retreat. And I said, yes, sir, I know that. And he said, I prayed hard to give me a good Secretary of Health. And because I prayed hard, I'm now appointing you as the Secretary of Health.
Wow.
So I was surprised. I was, oh, Mr. President, I'm so honored, I'd like to serve you also. And he said, this is the question I always repeat this when I tell stories about that afternoon. And he said, do you have any skeleton in your closet? So I was a little bit, parang nainis ako. Hindi naman ko, sabi ko, sir, none, no? And he laughed. He said, "Oh, I already did my research." And then he said, "You don't owe anybody anything. Even my sister, because I've worked with Senator Shani in
Yes.
women's issues.
Yes, yes.
You don't owe anybody anything." And he said, "Don't tell the media yet that I appointed you." And said, "I will do that, sir." But when I came out of my office, the whole media, they were already there. They knew the news, and
Yes,
I
yes.
received
Yeah.
congratulatory call from Ben De Leon, from from Gabi Claudio.
Claudio, yes.
Who else called me? So that's how the news spread.
But you were already officer in charge then, ano?
Yeah, yeah.
At that time. 96, right?
1996. In fact, he broke tradition. You know, I came after 17 male-dominated Department of Health. I was the first woman secretary.
Yeah, right. I was going
So
to
he broke
mention that.
tradition, and of course that's an honor, you know. So when with the change of administration, I could have stayed as, you know, USEC.
Undersecretary.
I could have worked it out to be a secretary of health. But then I said I owe it to the women that the first woman secretary of health will not slide down, no? From being the secretary to an undersecretary.
What were the instructions?
The instruction was me to clean that Department of Health.
Okay.
And you know, one thing, you know, I've been telling this to my friends, to my family, to my grandchildren. Never did the president interfere in my decision. In fact, when there was a critical time in the Philippine Heart Center for Asia,
Yes.
the director then was Dr. Zamora,
Yes.
a close friend of him.
Yes.
And there was a bit of conflict within the staff, demoralization. And I told him that, sir, this is what's happening in the heart center. It's causing demoralization, you know, and a lot of issues and conflicts between and among the staff. And this could not happen because it affects the services. And he said, I would like to recommend a change of leadership. You know what his answer was? He said, do it, write his resignation letter, and I'll let him sign it. So just like that, he said, just give me a good director of the heart center. So I created a research committee, Dr. Forrest, Carla Velia,
Yes.
who else was there? So we chose Dr. Torres. And when his name, when he chosen by the search committee, I wrote him. I said, Mr. President, I just want to let you know that Dr. Ludi Torres was my classmate in UST. So that will, I mean, I wanted to clear my, because I did not take part in the search committee. So that's how, you know, he doesn't interfere. Never in my 3 years of being the Secretary of Health did he give me papers, appoint this, buy this, never. And even his family, never. So that's something that I think really is a legacy for this great man.
What did that speak to you of the man?
It speaks of his noble character, you know. He could have, you know, one note from him and say, appoint this and that. Never.
That
So I
would have
said,
done
this is
it,
a noble, I mean, a noble guy, if I may say, very upright, very decent, you know, and very trusting to his cabinet secretaries.
But now that you mentioned that, tell me about life in the FVR cabinet.
Well, we
What
were,
was it like?
Yeah, it was I think a golden era of the Ramos administration. We were like brothers and sisters, no. When we argue during the cabinet meeting, he would say, "Oh, you three, you go out, you settle among yourselves, and then go back and make a decision." That's how. And then he would, before the cabinet meeting, he would pass around newspapers. You know, he has he passes around
Clippings.
clippings, and he would say, attend to this, what did you do this?
Right. Right.
So that already became a habit.
Yes.
Complete staff work.
Right.
So we got used to it. So what I did was, I knew, for example, there was an issue in the newspaper. Before he gives me the clipping before the cabinet, I will already send him a memo. Sir, regarding this newspaper news, this is what I already did. Kaya pag cabinet meeting, parang ako lang yata ang laging walang natatanggap. Kasi nga, hindi ko sinasabi sa iba, inuunahan ko na siya. At saka si Presidente, one time, the first liver transplant it was done in, I think, Heart Center, or I forgot. He called me at 3 o'clock in the morning. He said, I'm donating 20,000 from my personal money. Give this to the family of the boy. Mga ganong gestures ba na hindi grandstanding. He could have said, I donated. Kami lang dalawa nakakalam.
Oh my, really?
3 o'clock in the morning.
Yes. You took a call from him at 3
Yeah.
o'clock. There were no hours actually,
Wala.
working.
Kaya ako, yung telepono namin, laging bukas siya kasi pag tumawag siya, hindi kami samugot, nagagalit siya.
So everybody was on call.
Oh, yun lang nag-state visit kami sa Cambodia, no?
Yes.
Tsaka Myanmar. Siyempre, gusto ko mag-shopping, di ba? Laging, no time for shopping, Toby, no time for shopping. Tapos sabi ko, sir, di ba tayo kakain? Bakit? Nagugutom ba kayo? Lunch. Diyos ko, 2 o'clock na.
Yes.
Ganun siya. Ganun ka-grabe. Ganun ka-passionate in his work. Kaya nami-miss namin yung mga ganun eh.
So he was a taskmaster?
Yeah, of course.
Good boss, bad boss.
Did I hear you right?
Yeah. Good boss, bad boss. What was
The
what
best
was it?
boss.
Oh, wow.
The best. One of a kind.
Uh-huh.
I'm telling this not because I was in his own family, official family, but I could see the difference. Very different. Even public ethics, the way he talks, the way he behaves, his vision of the country. Wala na ngayon yun. Nakakalungkot nga, nakakaiyak.
Let me get a setting to that statement of yours. You've actually, how long were you in public service secretary?
33 years.
33 years.
I rose from the ranks, yeah.
Career, right?
Yeah, I rose from the ranks.
Okay.
And he that was, I think, what he considered when he saw my track record. Yeah, from graduating in medicine, I became an extern, adjunct, resident, MS1, MS2, chief of the technical services, regional director, assistant secretary, undersecretary, and secretary. Talagang pinandi ko yung ladder.
Your entire professional career, in fact, no?
It was in government. Kasi I was already starting my private practice. Very lucrative, OBGYN. Kaya ang tinawagan ako nung mentor ko sa public health, si Dr. Flora Bayan, the auntie of Ronnie Zamora, and a mentor ko yun sa Josefa Bella. So I couldn't resist the call for public service. And maybe it was because even when I was young, gusto ko na talaga public service. Hindi ko naisip na gusto kong mag-private.
Quite a number of FBR's appointments actually came from the ranks.
Yeah, Mina Gabor, Cora De Leon,
Right.
Lina Laigo,
Right.
Linda Pampianco, lahat halos kami Wala yata nung time yan na merong political, parang wala yata akong nadidinig.
Well, there were a number of the generals, no? The generals.
Well, but sa sa mga service departments,
No.
wala, he respected the career path of the...
Again, your sense of that particular the selection of a career in lieu of political appointments.
Oh, that speaks of he was more on what will benefit the country in terms of public service rather than his political affiliation. That is something, Toby, kasi pwede siya ang appoint niya yung mga political allies, but it never happened. Never
pasalamat,
happened.
thank you for helping me
Yeah.
win, But in this case, he was actually, yeah, I remember those days, secretary, instead of looking for political appointments, we were actually looking at the bureaucracy.
Yes, correct.
Who
Oh.
is who is a strong candidate to take over, no?
Oh, he never interfered when we have appointments to very high position. I never received a call from him, and so did my other friends, like Department of Education,
Right.
Social Service. He never used his influence to tell us, you appoint this as regional. Never. Kaya ano yun eh, uh, I don't know how to call that kind of character. Maybe um, he was more on what is good for the country rather than what is good for himself. By choosing career people that he knows and he has confidence that will be able to deliver the much needed services, especially in the countryside.
Let me get to the time when you came into, when you assumed officially the reins of the department. Two things come to my mind. One is the immense popularity of one of your predecessors, no? Juan Flavier, no? But at the same time, uh, plus Secretary Flavier's very catchy phrases and the health programs that he was pushing, But at the same time, well, he ran for the Senate, he won, and shortly after that, the department was caught up in a procurement
Yeah, scandal, yeah.
scandal, involving some supplies. How troublesome was that transition for you? Well, although you were already OIC for
Yeah.
for quite a bit.
Well, actually, I came in at the most critical time of the Department of Health when we were racked by scandal, insecurities, graft and corruption. But having grown up in the department, I knew what was wrong. That's why in my first meeting with the regional directors, I said, I know what's going on. I know each one of you. Please stop doing it. Because I'm not going to take a chance, because I'm going to castigate you and even remove you from office. And I did that. I removed one regional director who was my classmate because the committee that I created found out that she was guilty of graft and corruption. And I think it was the first time in the history that a regional director is removed from office. And it broke my heart because she was my classmate.
In the department,
But I had,
that was the first
in the
time.
department. But I had to do it because I wanted to show an example. No, don't try to challenge my word that you have to be honest, you have to be outright, stop whatever you're doing. And I think I couldn't say that if I myself had a skeleton in my closet, as the president said. No.
And that was the
So-
reason why he asked,
So I think when I came in, graft and corruption, the department was number one at that time. And during my time, after a year, I am proud and honored to say that we were removed out of that list of being the top notcher in terms of graft and corruption. You can check the record, Toby.
Yeah, I remember. I was covering you then.
Yeah. So you can only do that when your staff believe in you.
Right.
Otherwise, they will just laugh at you. Who is she talking about honesty when she herself is corrupt?
The other thing is when you know as well that you have the 100 support and backing of your principal, no? Of the FVR.
There was a funny story about FVR. I was sitting as the chair of the Chemfield that imports
Yes.
powder for, and then for producing antibiotics.
Yes.
So it was, I think, during Christmas time that I was informed I was going to receive a bonus of 5 million, 3 or 5 million. And I said, why do I deserve this? And he said, it's because you are the chair of the committee, which seldom meets, maybe twice a year. So I said, I don't think I deserve this. So he left the money on my table. So I wrote the president a memo. I don't want to mention them. So and so came to my office and left this 5 million cash as my dividend. But sir, I'm returning it for your information. You know what President Ramos did? Was to forward my letter to that guy. Kaya kung minsan mapapahamak kami. So that guy came back, galit na galit talaga sa akin. Nagtago ako sa toilet. Sabi nung staff ko, tago ka, galit na galit sa'yo. So yun ang mga yun ang mga sabi ko, he wants to play jokes on us also.
But that speaks as well of the man, doesn't it?
Kasi nga, siguro he wanted to tell this guy, you better don't do that.
Yeah.
One way or other.
Exactly. So you came in at a time of controversy.
I had to do a lot of cleaning up, procurement.
Yes.
Personnel. And with God's help, ko rin man yun. I modified the procurement system. I had quarterly dialogues with suppliers. They cannot come to my office, but I will have monthly dialogues with them, so I will know what the problem is. And put people in the freezer, yung alam kong gumagawa.
On the other side of the coin, on the policy side, actually, the department was also at the forefront of quite a number of controversial changes that were happening in the health landscape. And let me just mention a few. We were getting the new generics law into off the ground, right? The first version of our reproductive health law. Is that right? And then our health campaigns for smoking, HIV.
Yeah.
So tell me about
Well, the generics
the policy landscape.
Yeah, generics law happened during the time of Alran Bengson. Another great Secretary of Health that I respect. Yun ang talagang visionary. Napakalawak ng kanyang experience and perspective. He designated me as the generics law implementation manager.
There you are.
So when he would lecture about the generics law, pinapakita niya ako nasa tangke. General Pathon of the generics law. So yung operations talagang I had to do the operations like I put a generic corner in every drugstore. Yung collection ng mga prescriptions still branded na I had to warn the private practitioners if we catch them violating the generics law, which means generic prescribing 3 times, we will charge them and get their license. You know, at that time, I had a lot of doctor friends who became angry with me. At it came a point na hindi kami
nag-uusap.
nagalit sila sa akin. But I had to do it. So yun ang mga yung generic corner, I think is one. Yung prescribing, yung disobey sa prescribing, talagang generic prescribing, talagang pinapatawag ko. Binibigyan ko ng sulat, warning, everything and so on. So the generics law actually became a challenge to us, yung wider choice.
Yes.
It's not because cheaper choice Say branded products, just the cost of advertising, escalates the price by 40%.
Correct.
And yet, if you look at the main ingredients, pareho lang yun
Exactly the same.
Ako I've been taking generics drug. Lahat ng pamilya, pareho din naman Kasi it also passes the FDA, the BFAD. So yun ang challenge ko, how to change the mentality of people that generics is as good as branded drugs. Yun namang yung reproductive health,
Yeah.
I was one of the mainstay in the reproductive health forum in Cairo, Conference on Population Development, where we tackled really reproductive health policy. So doon, the Philippine delegation, I think, did a very good performance. No? In fact, there was one instance when everybody was already agreeing to the statement issued by the Vatican. And I was the one only opposing that. It's about abortion. And they were all surprised why I was not agreeing to that statement. And even Tita Livia was saying, Chit, agree ka na. Kung agree na mo. Kasi meron siyang statement na I didn't like abortion, no, promotion of all approved contraceptive methods. I wanted to include except abortion because in some countries abortion is legalized.
Yes.
So I want to make sure na sa Philippines kasama talaga na na they don't exclude except abortion. So that created a lot of controversy. But during my time, we approved the women's health.
Right.
And it was during my time
Yes.
that I approved that.
Yes,
It's a
yes.
multi-donor funded program. And that women's health and safe motherhood covers the life cycle of a woman. No?
Yes.
From infancy to the girl child. So we gave value. What is the value of the girl child? No, the reproductive health. Then women in the elderly. So that then HIV during my term also.
Yes.
HIV was only 1/10%. Now look at the cases now.
Right.
At that time, we were heavy on information. Kasi 1/10% eh. So how to protect yourself from
Right.
getting the HIV, we
Right.
establish sentinel sites. No? And they would say, why spend on HIV at that time when it's only 1/10%? And I said, 1/10% means the virus is already here.
It's there.
And anytime it can explode. Like now, how many are getting HIV every month?
Right.
No?
Right.
So I think I remember my experience with Sarah Jane. Remember Sarah Jane?
Yes, ma'am.
And she got pregnant. So it was my time that I had to make sure that when she delivers, all preventive and precautionary measures are taken. So I was there in the hospital with her.
Right.
So that was a little challenging and on my part, how to allay the fears of the hospital, of the personnel that will deliver the baby of Sarah Jane.
Yun nga, no? HIV, population control, and then women's health, and then generally health, well-being of people.
I think I cannot question the fact that FVR has made health agenda as one of his top priorities also, together with education. And I think he also believes that health and education is very important. They're very important for human resource development. So while we did not really get as much as the education budget, but he was always there promoting and giving his blessings and his commitment support to our population program. During his time, the population program, because during the time of Clavier, it was method-oriented. No?
Right.
So when I came in, I changed that into concept-oriented.
Okay.
Why should we be responsible parents? Why should we space or limit our children? And if you want to do that, go to the health center for whatever means you want to do with consultation of the health person. I never say, magpaligate kayo, punta kayo sa health center. Laging, bakit kayo kailangan magplano ng pamilya? And I think that was one reason why Cardinal Sin even wrote me a letter, which I keep up to now. Kasi nga I consulted him eh. Sabi ko, what do I do now? I'm now the Secretary of Health, and I know your stand in population. I said, tell me what your plans are. Tinanong ko ni Cardinal. Sabi ko, your eminence, my plan is I'll never promote I'll never be method-oriented. I'm more on the concept. And he said, okay, I bless you for that, you do that. And if you notice, merong shift in the promotion of family planning during my time.
Yes.
It's more the concept. Why? Why should you be responsible? Why should you think of how many children you can afford to educate, to give a decent life? Hindi yung distribute ako ng condom. Palay-gate kayo. Hindi kayo mag-ano kayo. I never did that.
Values, At about the same time also, Secretary, if I remember, two other initiatives na nangyari. And alam ko may blessing din kay FVR yun Yung health insurance coverage, if you remember. No? And then, yung the promotion of alternative medicine.
HMOs?
Alternative,
the traditional medicine?
di ba?
Yung at that time, yung PhilHealth was only, I think, we were only just starting to pilot in 10 provinces.
Correct.
And then, it was just starting. We were expanding the health coverage and the areas. Kasi at that time, I remember, 10 provinces lang, And then, during his time also, we have what you call the herbal processing plant.
Right.
We had one to Gugarao, I think in Tugigaraw, I think in Cebu, Davao, I think in Region 8 yata. Yun, he gave his full support in processing and at the time we came up with Lagundi.
Yes.
During the time of FVR, we had the establishment of the 3 herbal processing plant. Which process manufactured herbal medicine.
Mas accessible, I remember he wanted it to be more accessible.
Yeah.
And then in volumes,
Kaya ngayon nakikita nyo, it's now in the drugstores.
Commercially
Lagundi,
available na. Yeah. Tell me about the initiatives to revitalize the DOH. I know that there were also marching orders to take a look at health workers. And then the issue of di ba naging issue rin yung decentralization ng functions?
Yeah, okay. Yung time ni Dr. Bengsa, yun yung local government code.
Yes.
And I think we really fought hard to accept the health services. Kasi health services, it's a spectrum
Right.
Cannot be fragmented.
Correct.
Na national kami, policy, then we have the regions, then yung provinces, ilang provinces yan, ilang municipalities, ilang barangay. So provinces and municipalities will not have their own health programs, And I'm sorry to say, more than, I think, a lot of them, or most of them, they look at health as in a political perspective, not on the delivery of basic health services. So, if you have fragmented health services, ano mangyayari? Kanya-kanya sila.
Right.
And we have to accept the fact that political leaders are more on building monuments, bridges, markets. Ang health is not a priority. In fact, it's not even a line item in the LGU. So kami tulong kami ng tulong policy, but kasi the Department of Health is the head, Pero ang implementers, arms and legs, are the provinces and the municipalities and barangay. So even if the head is brilliant, kung di naman kumikilos yung ibang galaw sa baba, wala din mangyayari. So kaya we were fighting, but sad to, na we were not exempted. And look at the health services na up to now, Look at the health status of our people. Hindi mo nag-improve, it's getting even worse.
Paano na-manage? How did you, the department, and FVR take a look at, at least working around that?
Well, we tried to, at the time of FVR, we tried to, yung technical expertise namin, we tried to bring it down to the lower level. teaching them how to come up with local policies, standards, regulations, programs that is attuned to the needs of the community. But as I said, Tony, Toby, it's not something that was internalized by the LGUs.
So it wasn't exactly a smooth ride, the
It was
relationship
not. Up to
between
now,
DOH,
I don't think they realize health as a priority. But if they rely on the researchers, it proved that health-oriented politicians is a plus factor during the election. But I don't know how, kasi sila more on building markets, roads, bridges. But look at the
Monuments.
barangay stations, walang gamot, walang personnel. Kaya very sad talaga.
To this day? To this, you see that to this day?
Up to date, yes. You know, when I was the secretary, devolved na kami no?
Yes.
Punta ako sa Region 8. Grabe walang, sa emergency, walang alcohol. Pabibili ng karayom at mga farmers to mga fishermen paano sila bibili? Walang gamit. So the structure is there, personnel are lacking, supplies are not there. So how can you do that?
So that was something that could have been done better.
Yeah, of course. So.
Huh?
Up to now naman, we give LGU assistance
Yeah.
Pero I don't know how they use it.
Quite a number of calamities that happened during your watch as well. Rice crisis, we had El Nino, and then the impact of climate change. How did the department cope?
Well, yung nung time ko kasi it's more on earthquakes and
Yung
typhoons, floods, no?
yes, yes.
Fire, yung ozone fire tragedy that happened.
That 96.
That was my baptism of fire. So it happened, I think, if I'm not mistaken, a few days or weeks after I became the secretary. So I had to rush to the site, and whom do I see there? The president
Right.
was there before me. So ozone tragedy, yung mga ang the worst yung yung flash flood sa Ormoc.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
More on because of the denudation of the forest, disrespect for the environment, which we are suffering up to now. So, yung climate change was just a beginning concern. So, hindi pa masyadong appreciated nung time na yun, yung mga ill effects. Ngayon lang talagang internalize na natin.
You were also chair of the National Commission on the Rights of Filipino Women, and you mentioned it earlier, di ba? May mga initiatives kayo doon about
Hindi, meron, I
women.
was a commissioner of
commissioner.
Philippine Commission.
Okay.
Ngayon, Philippine Commission on Women, dati yung National Commission on Women.
NCRF. Oo.
So, nung time na yon, of course, we were promoting the rights of women, status of women. We were very strong in our project for women's health, women's rights. So, we were very active in that area. So, at that time, respect for women was very well felt in the environment because the Philippines was an active contributor to the overall international agenda for women. In this CEDAW, we sit there. So, what's happening now, if I may say, is unbelievable to my point as a woman. Wala complete insult, complete disrespect. Never have I imagined that the leadership will come to the point na no respect for women, insulting women. And I don't know how the Philippine Commission on Women can just sit down and not do something about it.
Clearly may issue yung gender sensitivity.
Grabe
yung
talaga
women's,
ngayon. Now it's God being attacked.
Yeah. 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 It was about 96 also, Secretary, that we had the cabinet had the scare of its life. The president had to undergo surgery
Yeah,
for his carotid
yeah.
artery, you were Secretary of Health then already. Did you join the team, or were
No, no,
you?
we were just outside waiting for him.
Mhm, mhm. But tell me about that. Tell me about that incident. How it
Well, I think we were
impacted
having a
on you.
meeting when he was suddenly,
Right,
just, yeah.
right,
So we had to rush him and we had to stay with him.
right.
So it was a carotid block at that time.
Mhm.
We were all scared, of course. No?
Were there other similar close calls over his health, the
Wala.
president's health?
He was very energetic.
He's really very active,
Oo,
ano?
kuminsan pag yung aming exercise, exercise, mas napapagod nga kami, sira sa kanya. Tapos he would challenge us to jump in the pool.
Right, right.
We never followed. That was the only time I don't follow his order.
Or jog with him. But it was no?
It was
I
fun.
mean,
Talaga it was fun. Oh.
And it was also no? If ever you needed a poster boy for health and fitness,
Oh, shit.
you didn't have to look
Yeah.
far away. No?
Oo. Siya kasi FVR ang ano niya sa akin, if I remember him, he'll never do something that he himself will not do.
Okay. So he wouldn't.
Pag may sinabi siya, pag may pinagawa siya, kaya rin niyang gawin yun. Hindi siya yung tumalong ka sa ilog, pero hindi siya tatalon. Uuna ka pa eh.
So leadership by example.
Yeah, of course.
Part
Yun
of
ang
his
talagang sabi ko nga, how do I describe him, no? Yun nga, he's one guy who leads by example. In work, in principles. Ano yun it's not because I work under him, pero iba siya talaga, very inspiring.
Yes. Yes. Let's get to graduation day. June 30, 1990. Did you stay on? Hindi na, no? Oh, well, you held on for transition,
on,
ano?
In
And
fact, I
then-
could have been the secretary kasi marami akong close friends, very close kay pero ko, no.
Okay.
I've had this habit. Anyway, I was in government for 33 years, sama na siguro yun.
Right, right. So ano na rin? So when FVR became Citizen Eddie, you also became Citizen Doctor
Yeah, but
Rheodicca.
up to now, I'm still active, Toby. I have a lot of NGOs. I'm active with the Red Cross.
Right.
I'm the chair of the Blood Services Committee of the Rizal chapter. I work with Jerry Ross Foundation,
Yes.
Children's Hour Foundation, Justice Palma.
You still do a lot of interaction with FVR?
Well,
Post
every
98?
time May calls us, I never miss that. I always come. Basta pwede ako. Nagpupunta kami talaga.
How do those meetings look like?
Very friendly. Kuminsan nga, minsan birthday niya, sinama ko yung mga apo ko. Mga millennials
Yes.
Tsaka yung mga kasi gusto siyang laging nakikita ng mga kaibigan ko, yung mga bata.
Yeah.
Picture taking sa kwarto niya. Pag nakita niya, pa-upi niya sa lap niya, picture taking sa lap. Sir, ako din. Hindi, sabi niya, hindi ka pwede. Mamaya, machismis na hindi. Ganun siya ka. Kaya tuwa-tuwa sa kanya yung family ko.
Are there any look back moments? Well, you reminisce about the days in the cabinet.
Marami yun Masaya kami sa cabinet basta yun yung newspaper clippings. Tapos pag nag-aaway-aaway, lumabas kayo, doon kayo mag-aaway sa labas. Pwede kayo dito ba? Tapos yung
you cannot go back unless you come up with a resolution of the issue.
Ganun siya. Wow. Kasi minsan tatandaan ko yun yung pinapipirma ako ng Certificate of Environmental Clearance for Cavite as a landfill area. I didn't want to sign. So it was Victor Ramos, Peng Ureta, and myself, kami tatlo. Ayokong pumirma kasi hindi ako I don't believe they complied with all the sanitary requirements. Sabi ko, sir, I cannot sign that. Sabi ko, yeah, sige, mag-usap ko yung tatlo. Sinabi ko sa dalawang lalaki, hindi ako pipirma dyan. Kasi ganun. Magbalik ka, what's it? Sir, I did not sign. Okay.
Okay.
Ganun siya. Hindi sabihin, pumipirma ka na. Hindi siya ganun. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Ganun ka, ganun siyang kabilib. Ganun siyang ka-trusting sa amin, no?
Looking overall, what could have been done better
Could have done
During-
better. FVR?
during his administration? At least from your watch, from your perspective.
Ano ba? I think he did well, eh. He did best.
Mhm.
So, what could have been done better? He stayed on. Kasi siya, gusto namin talaga yung ano na yun, eh, constitutional, ang tawag natin, amendment pa yun, ha? He
Yes.
can, ano siya, yung, nagdidili-dali siya.
Oh, okay.
Sana sinabi niya, sige, we could have worked for it. No? Hindi siya masyadong ano,
Yeah, there was
go or
ano,
not go, hindi siya ganun.
yeah.
It could have been better if he stayed on for another 6 years.
But he kept away from it, eh, no? I
Oo, eh.
remember, eh. Yung
Hindi
pirma, di ba? Yung pirma at
Oo.
saka yung People's Initiative.
Nagpirmahan na kami nun eh.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And he could have won, ha?
Oo. Oo.
Tingnan ang record niya.
Mhm. But he kept away from it, eh.
Oo.
Yeah.
Hindi ko alam. Siguro kung nandun si May nung time yun.
Maybe the final question is, what to your view was FBR's best legacy?
Best legacy was,
Or if it was a series, what would it be like?
as I said, that the best legacy, if I will remember him in the future, no? Ano siya, yung a mentor by example, a leader by example, someone who gave his full confidence and trust to his official family. He's the president who act with public accountability, public ethics, a president that we can all be proud of because of the way he act, the way he said things, the way he shared his visions. And to top it all, he was not afraid of taking chances. No. He was a risk taker because he knew that a good leader will have to take risks once in a while, or when it means better public service to the people and to the country. So he was a good fighter. He was a champion of the common tao. And I will always remember him with love and reverence, respect, admiration. Because he brought this country to a level that is respected by other countries. He did it in a decent way, not in a crude, cheap way, but decent way in the sense that he acted as a veteran politician, as a trained and well-mannered statesman that we can all be proud of. And I'm always proud to be a part of his family.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.